so much, Shola. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Pastor M. Thank you, Tonya, for coming. You know, it was so interesting. When this topic dropped, I was like, oh God, this kind of topic is hard though. And we normally do 2 panelists, 3 panelists max. And instead telling me the different pain areas. So he said women go through fertility, abuse, loss, and then even with your child, like things you do not expect. And so he started dropping the names, and so everybody's here. So while you're writing down your questions, this panel session pretty much is the panelists tell us their stories quickly, but it's really all about answering your questions. Usually the panel session in SALVE series is the biggest thing, because you can ask anything. So if you have your piece of paper, you will see piece of paper, the person has piece of paper, please write it quickly. We will run through the questions. We have exactly 1 hour, 30 minutes. Okay? So, Pastor, we'll start with you now. You're elder. So you just tell us your story, and then we just do that.
I'm going to try to keep a lot of people on the panel. So basically at 16, I was diagnosed with PCOS, that's polycystic ovary syndrome. And what had happened was that my period had started and refused to stop. So I was bleeding every day consistently for 3 months. So I told my sister, who I discovered eventually that sisters are loudmouths. My mom found out and started panicking, rushed me to the hospital, different scans and ultrasounds and a lot of things. And then I was in the doctor's office and the man just kept shaking his head and just going, you know. And for someone who, because I started my period really early, I started about 9, 10. And when I started, I used to see my period for 7 days. So when it graduated to 10 days, I didn't really see it was a big deal until for 3 months it didn't stop, you know. And it was heavy and there were clots. So doctors now told me that one of the problems with PCOS would be that you may never have a child. So, of course, that began my story of woe. So I went from doctor to doctor because I had to pretty much live on drugs. So if I wasn't taking drugs to stop the bleeding, I was bleeding, pretty much. So a couple of episodes I would pass out, maybe during lectures, you know, stuff like that. Pass out, maybe I'm in sports center. Okay, well, I was in Iphie, so anyone went to Iphie, no sports center. So maybe I'm in sports center, maybe for a meeting, or I'm praying, and next thing I would see myself in the hospital. So obviously I passed out, and they had rushed me to the hospital. I remember one terrible episode where they had to call my dad. My dad had to call. My dad was regional manager of Union Bank. So he called branch in Iphie to send me, to call a hospital. They sent an ambulance. It was just so messy. So long and short, that made me know that, oh, there was a problem. And then we went from doctor to doctor. Every doctor had the same thing to say to me, you know. I had just one doctor who gave me a bit of hope, who said the only way you probably will be able to have a child is to do IVF or something. But for you, it's not happening naturally. So I met my husband. He, by that time, I had bled for about, when I met my husband, it must have been about 12 years. So I was hanging on the fact that I was like the man with the issue of blood. So that was my year of healing, you know. And then when I met my husband and told him that, this is what you are saying, you want to marry and everything, they're saying I'll not be able to have a child. And my husband was like, who said, this is not happening, you're having my children, you know, told me, we already have names for children, what are you talking about? And well, man of faith, I said, okay, let's be going, let's see how this will work. Got married. First year, to show you how crazy my husband was, my husband insisted that we're going to use condoms. That's to further annoy Satan. That he doesn't want to get pregnant the first year. I think what made it really hard was having to do it in the public eye. You know, having to constantly get on stage and tell people that God's word works. And year after year, there was no proof in your life that God's word works. I mean, it was so bad that one of our pastors actually told me that I should stop saying it, because every time I go to preach, God will say, first thing you say is, the word of God works 100% of the time before you start your message. And I kept doing this. So 12 years turned to 18 years. And I'm like, God, even the woman with the issue of blood, they have to replace my name with her name. because this thing has gone on for so long. So there was pain, there were cramps. There was one particular day, it was so bad that I was bleeding, like literally. A lot of times I was messed up in church. I won't be able to leave. A lot of people thought I was snobbish in church because I would sit down after the service because I was messed up, you know, the whole place was messed up. And there was one particular day at home I think that was the only day I actually almost saw my husband shake. I stood up and I was in a pool of blood, and this used to happen a lot. But this particular one was as if I was urinating. So the blood was just pouring and it was gushing and it was gushing. And then I had to call someone to rush me to the hospital. And remember that in all of this, we didn't have a lot of money. So at that time, I didn't have so much actually. So hospital was not an option. It was when I start like that, he would just say, hear the word and be healed, you know, stand in faith. There were times when I would be doubled over in pain because, I mean, there were cramps, there was pain. So it wasn't like it was happening. It wasn't just a case of I'm not having children. Of course, that pain was there. But of course, also the physical things were in my body. And even if I wanted to do an IVF, I couldn't afford it, you know. In fact, this story is very long, but long and short of it, I moved from that pain of, God, why me? To asking, how do we move forward, Lord? What is the plan? You know, and then what brought me hope and what gave me strength was the fact that at some point God just told me, okay, listen to me. You're going to be the last person in your family to have children, but you will have your children. This is my word to you, that if you serve me, I will bless your bread and water. I will take sickness, including PCOS, from your midst. You will not be barren. You will not have a miscarriage, and you'll fulfill the number of your days. And he said to me, there are 2 nations in your womb. 2 people will be separated from your body. He said, one will be physically stronger than the other. That's how you will know that you will have a boy and a girl. He gave me word continually, as in I had to stand on the word. I had to do this. And he told me, after you have overcome this problem, strengthen your sisters. So that's how, you know, after 8 years, God blessed us with our first. And then exactly 2 years after, he blessed me with another one, a boy. So I have 2 children who are born on the same day, different years. So they are pretty much twins. And then before that, he blessed us with an amazing child who was just a gift. So I have 3 kids. I usually don't really like to go into that because she doesn't know she's adopted. But I have an adopted daughter first. And somehow, after that, the miracle in all of this is that what I have learned, I've been able to use it to help other women to come out of that pain. So just this year, God had promised me that if I could believe him for 40 miracle pregnancies, that he would give it to me. And long before, in fact, now we're way past, we're like in hundreds now. So women are getting pregnant. And I'm hearing stories of somebody just send me an email, Pastor M, I saw you somewhere, I hugged you and I'm pregnant. Pastor M, I don't know if you remember me, I sent you this message and you prayed with me and I'm pregnant. Oh, I watched this, I was on your prayer and I'm pregnant. And somehow God had taken that thing that was a pain for me to give hope to other people.
Okay, so I don't know, but I think about 9 years ago, yeah, exactly 9 years and some months ago, I had a baby. So before I had a baby, I'm Yoruba and I got married to an Igbo man. So you can imagine, and I'm the last of 10 children. And my husband is also the last of his own family. So there was a bit of drama before we got married. In fact, they did not attend our wedding because they really felt like, and my husband's family is a family, they are Christians, they are born again, they are missionaries, so they hear God, like literally tell you that God said, you know. And I was coming from a white garment background where we're literally Mami Water Spirit. So it was a lot of issues, you know. And finally, we just said that, I mean, at 29, you're getting married, and then somebody is still arguing when your mates are finished giving birth, you know. So we decided to go on without family blessings, especially from my husband's side, and we just moved on. At some point, my father actually said, you know, I've given my blessing traditionally, so any other thing you want to do, just be doing. It doesn't concern me. So, I mean, church wedding, interestingly, when you still look at the videos, we didn't have family representation. So right now we have a lot of family members that really we don't know we're not linked biologically, but they are our family members because they were the people that were there for us at that time. So after the wedding, I mean, everybody disappeared. So the first thing we established was, you know what, there's nowhere to go to after. So if we are not friends, then we don't have anybody else. So we started trying to build a relationship as friends. And then, you know, the baby was not coming at that time. I didn't know that there were people like Pastor M that 8 years. Because 6 months, my husband, I was like Joseph and Rachel, we quarreled. As like, I'm like, better talk to this your God. I need to have babies, and now, you know, but I didn't get pregnant. But 6 months after, I got pregnant. And then after I got pregnant, 3 months after, I was literally like, I just was in the kitchen. I didn't even know that I was in a pool of blood. And there was blood everywhere. Like, we packed more than 5 liters of blood. And we got to the hospital, and the doctor told my husband, said, there's no baby there. But because we have to just do this medical thing, let her go and sleep. And tomorrow morning we'll run a scan. And so I was on diazepam, but I couldn't close my eyes. And my husband asked me, said, do you believe in miracles? I said, God is a miraculous God. He said, okay. That because God told me that he's going to do a miracle. I said, you should better do the miracle. Like, so, but all of these things I was saying, I didn't believe anything. I was just there. And then the next morning, we ran a scan, and the baby was there. And the same doctor said, there's baby, oh. In fact, see the heartbeat, see this, and everything was fine. And from that moment until I gave birth to my daughter, I was very strong. And we went to the hospital, had the baby. But all I just noticed was after having the baby, everybody was looking at me funny. So I was wondering, what is happening? I asked my husband, he said, don't worry, the journey is very far. So just take it easy and just relax. I didn't know what he was talking about. But after a while, I saw that my mom came. And, you know, she started being very dramatic. So I asked her, I said, what is happening? She said, nothing. Don't worry. This one will pass. You know, and she started saying a lot of things. So I knew there was a problem. So when everyone was asleep, I stood up and looked at the baby. And I saw that the leg was a little bit funny. But, you know, it still didn't ring a bell. So they said, you guys will need to stay in the hospital. You need to see an orthopedic surgeon. And I just believed that it was just one of those things. So when the orthopedic surgeon came, he said, it's not what we're going to be able to do here. You probably need to go to the orthopedic hospital. I'm like, this thing is getting more dramatic. Then one of my husband's friends, US, and he told us that we had to amputate the leg. So I told my husband, I said, you know what? If this is what is going to come to, let's go ahead and do the amputation. And my husband looked at me and said, you're not ready for whatever it is. I said, no, I'm ready. If today, let's just do it. No. So we went to the hospital and we got booked in for the surgery. But after we got booked in for the surgery, her file got missing. So I said, you see, I told you, God is going to do a miracle. That's why we will not have to go through this process. And after that, they found our file again. At the point where they found our file, then they went on strike. At the point, then after months of strike, they came back again. And I said, I think we're ready now. And my husband said, I don't think you're ready. I said, I'm ready. And then we got booked in. And the day before the surgery, I disappeared with the girl. Like I just disappeared. And I got to the point, apparently I had not accepted my reality. I would go to work. My mom was around to take care of her. I would travel. And we just kept through the process until one day I'm like, God, what do you really want me to do? And I was convinced that, you know, we had to go ahead with the amputation. But I said, you know, I need one more. I just need to talk to one more person and make this decision. So we traveled to the US and we had to see another doctor. And the doctor said, I would be glad to be the one to do the amputation. You can just imagine her walking down the aisle with both legs and blah, blah, blah. And then a friend of mine very close to me called me and told me and said, I saw Beulah standing. In my mind, I said, yes, this is the miracle. And so we went past all of that, came back, and then we decided to do the amputation. After 2 years and 3 months of going around and everywhere. In fact, there was one church I wanted to go to. When I packed my bags, my husband said, go, I'll be here waiting. This time around, I'm not going with you. Because me jumping from place to place is saying that God is unfaithful. But I know he is faithful. So we did the amputation, and after the amputation, I just told myself, I said, God, you shamed me, you shamed yourself, because this, your word is apparently not true. And so I went on and on. But you remember I told you that I started reading my Bible. I started just writing down. I started writing down the processes of the things that I was going through. And then at some point I got a call that there was a double amputee somewhere, or a child with the same issue my daughter had, both legs, and the parents wouldn't do the amputation. And they wanted me to talk to the person. I'm like, what am I going to tell them? I don't even know what to say. But I went, I talked to the family, they decided to do the amputation, and then we got the girl prosthetic limbs, and the girl started walking. And then I said, God, what next? What would you have me do? And that's how the process went on and on to birthing a foundation where we now provide limbs for children that have been amputated. I don't know if I don't think I qualify, but one of the things that, I know very strongly that God has told me is that pain is temporal. So whatever suffering, whatever trial, whatever you even count issues, it's actually temporal, and it will just pass. Now we don't even see her as somebody that has an amputation. In fact, yesterday I was telling Ifoma, she had a very deep cut, and that was why I had to come late, because we had to go and sew. And I'm like, you the same one, no leg. After no leg, you have cut your hand again. But in all of it, we've seen God's faithfulness, and the rest is history. It's been a beautiful journey. Thank you.
Okay. So before Tonya starts, are we still writing our questions? Kibi, please let someone start to collect them. Okay.
Wow, the stories are so amazing. Okay, I've actually been following you. Yes. My name is Adizue. Yeah. I'm the first child out of 9 children. My father died at 46, and my mom was 37, and she was pregnant with the 9th child. So I came to Lagos to stay with my uncle because, of course, my parents would not afford to take care of us. My parents were Christians when I was 2, so I grew up with my parents as Christians. One night I was sleeping and I felt a hand touch my breast. I didn't know what that was. The hand started playing with my nipple. And from my nipple, the hand went to my vagina. Now, because everywhere was dark, I didn't know who was doing that. Sex was never mentioned in our house because it was a balanced setting. And that was how the abuse started. The following night, the person came, pulled up my dress, and slept with me. Now, I didn't know who was doing this to me. But one day, in the morning, my uncle said to me, if you ever tell anybody what's going on in this house, I will kill you. Because at that point, I was able to put a face to this monster who comes to ravage my body every night. Now, because I knew that incest is sin, it almost killed me. My uncle is a policeman. They were always going in the house. So him telling me he would kill me, I knew he wasn't joking. He had told me that he knew my parents before me, and that I will not be the one to spoil the relationship between him and my parents. So before I say anything, he would kill me. So I didn't say anything. So every night he would come. One day, my friend now, after a few years, now people say, why didn't you talk? I didn't know that I could talk to an adult. I didn't know that an adult could believe me. Yes. In those days, we didn't have GSM phones. So it's not now that you can quickly call your parents and say, this is what is happening. Then my mother came to Lagos within that period, and I was so happy I was going to tell her what was happening. My mother saw me with a sanitary towel, and my mother said, she looked at my uncle's wife and said, this one said they use pad. Then my uncle's wife said, yes, so she don't see her period. And my mother started laughing. Hey, now, wow, this one said don't they see her period. At that point, my uncle looked at me, and that eye told me, can you see, they will not believe you. So my mom left. So a few years down the line, my friend invited me to a church that the pastor is a fine man and that they sing very well in the church. Went to the church. The pastor made an altar call after preaching, and I gave my life to Christ. I rededicated my life to Christ again. But when we were about to leave his office, he said, Antonia, sit down, you need to tell me something. Now, I've never seen this man of God before. And I said, I don't have anything to tell you, sir. He said, everybody should leave, but I should sit down. Then I sat down. Then he looked at me. You want to tell me that your uncle is sexually abusing you, but you don't know what to do. At that point, I went on my knees and I started crying. I cried so much. He gave me a handkerchief and he said, sit down, because he's going to come tonight. So I sat down and he said, have you ever shouted before? I said, no. He said, you know, your dad is late. So this night when he comes, you are going to shout like you are having a bad dream. Shout until his wife wakes up and they begin to ask you what the problem is. But just behave as if you're having a bad dream, but you must shout. So that night, of course, my uncle came. Immediately he raised up my dress. I started shouting at me from my head to my toe. He hissed and he went to work. That was how the abuse stopped. But you see, at that point, the mental and emotional damage had occurred. Within that period, a neighbor of ours also abused me. I was ill and my uncle wasn't around and they wanted to take me to the hospital, so they called this neighbor. And I heard the guy in my subconscious saying, thank God, though. She I don't beg this girl, say I want friend, I'm in okay. Yes. So I woke up in the hospital with drip and I met Iphie molesting me. Yes. So the mental damage had now been done. I hated men. I didn't want to marry. But I was a worker. I was now a worker in church. I was in the choir. In fact, I was in the national choir at some point. I was singing in the camp. But I hated men. And I was planning to kill the unfortunate man that would marry me. So getting married, I did not love my husband when I married him. I've been married for 15 years. But you see, God has a way of doing stuff, right? I met this man in my pastor's office who is an only son, whose mother gave birth to him at old age and took him to church and dropped him in Assemblies of God Church, just the way they gave birth to Samuel. That's my husband's story. So he grew up in church. So I met this only son who did not know that this girl he wants to marry is planning to kill the man that she wants to marry. We met in church and I was still carrying all that baggage inside of me. I got married not because I loved the guy, like I said. I wanted to leave that abusive environment. I was still living with my uncle, so I wanted to leave. So every man who ever came and wanted a relationship with me, I wanted to marry him because I wanted to leave that place. Anyway, this guy was ready to marry, and we got married in 6 months. Now, he didn't know what he was getting into. On the day of the wedding, now, I didn't remember that when married people, after marriage, some things happened in the night. I didn't remember again. Because after my uncle and my neighbor, I was never with anyone until I got married. So the night of the wedding, as we got home, I don't want to bore you with how I planned that wedding. I don't want to bore you with that story. There's no time for that. I planned my wedding without telling my family. I told them that I found the guy I want to marry. I went to see Pastor Bimbo. She gave me 100,000 naira. I came and said, Pastor Bimbo said you should plan to do the wedding with this money. I printed the card. I printed dates. They had not done engagement, so they have not brought their family. They only brought their friends. As they brought their friends, I brought the card home. I wrote my list by myself. Till today, my mother does not know what I wrote the list. I said they said I should give you. They gave me money. I went to Aswani. I bought the box of the clothes. I'm telling you, it's true life story. I bought everything. I came back home. I said, I'm getting married. Okay, they have not done introduction. I called the man. I said, they said you should bring your people. I printed card. They thought I was joking. Anyway, I got married like that. My church was down saying, I'm supposed to give them time. I did not give them time. I said, brother, is your church ready to wed us? In his church, they were looking for a wife for him. So Pastor Taiwo was ready to marry him that day. So I said, oh yeah, let us use your church. That's how I got married in Fountain. On the day of the wedding, my uncle was the one that was supposed to give me out. I said, never. I'm not going to give you that honor. My brother brought food for the pastors. And I saw somebody standing. I just looked at him. I said, sir, can you borrow me your jacket? And he said, why? I said, I want my brother to walk me down the aisle, please. Before my uncle comes inside church, I want my brother. As I was talking, I was removing the jacket. Yes, I removed the jacket, Larry Falaye's jacket, and I gave my brother. My brother was wearing bathroom slippers. I held his hand, and I said, Christian, carry my hand now, go give Pastor Taiwo now. And I quickly put my hand under my brother's armpits, and my brother walked me down the aisle, and Pastor Taiwo said, this is certainly not your father. Anyway, I didn't want my uncle to hold my hand. So after reception, we went home. I didn't remember anything, you know. I just saw that brother was going to remove his jacket. I said, sir, please, we need to have a discussion. He said, no, Tonya, we are not married. You don't have to call me sir. I said, no, sir. We need to talk. So he sat down, and I said, please, sir, I need you to do me a favor. He said, what? I said, please, sir, I want us to live like brother and sister. And he agreed. He agreed. So we started living like brother and sister. So I begged him. I said, please, sir, when you are going to the bathroom, tie your towel. When you are coming out, tie your towel. When you sleep on the same bed, cover. Yes, you were there. I'm serious, I'm not joking. Stay on your side. Please, sir, don't get to the middle of the bed. I also will not get to the middle of the bed. Please, sir, don't tell me you love me. Please, sir, when you are sleeping, your hand like this. And he said, okay. So we lived like that for 3 months. People thought we were married. One day, he said, Tonya, I am not your brother. I said, but you agreed. He said, I'm not your brother. His mom was over 80 then. So at that point, he knew that I needed counseling. So he went to tell pastor. I now went for counseling. They now begged me. I now agreed with my own rules and my regulations, which are, you're not going to say a word. The lights will be off. Once you're done, you tie the towel before you go to the bathroom. I must not see you naked. And he said, okay. And you will never tell me that you love me. We will just live like that. He said, okay. And that was it. We have 3 children now. Please don't ask me how. Please. Seriously, don't ask me how. Because even the doctors are confused. I was also told I couldn't carry children after I did HSG. But to God be the glory, I have 3 children. Now, you don't want to know the story of how the doctors went through hell when I insisted that this man must be in the labor room because I could not stand with a male doctor all alone in the labor room. Yes. So I've gone through therapy and counseling. I'm a lot better now. I can tell you this story and I make it very sweet and I'm not crying. Yes, I've been suicidal. I've tried to kill myself twice. In 2012, the first time I bought the drugs because something keeps telling me that I'm not good enough. Antonia, finish it up. You're not worth it. And I look at the guy who married me. I feel for him. He's a very nice guy. And I'm wondering, how did you get yourself stuck with this kind of a woman? I asked him, how do you cope with Tonya? And the Tonya, yes, I asked him, I said, how do you cope with Tonya? Because I don't understand. Several times in the 15 years, I've packed my things and I say, I want to go. You deserve somebody better. But he will just say, I'm in this journey with you together. Yes. So when I was suicidal, I bought the drugs. It was our annual conference in church. I just asked him in the morning, I said, is suicide a sin? He said, yes. Then he looked at me and he said, who wants to commit suicide? I said, nobody. I was an usher in church. My husband worked with the senior pastor of my church. So that day we went to church and they brought this reverend from Ibadan. And as I picked up the mic, he said, there's somebody here. The spirit of suicide is hovering around this church. People came out. He said the person has not come out. I knew he was talking to me.
He said that they are not going to pray until that person comes out. People came out. He said the person has not come out. Guess what? As I took the first step, he said, "Thank you, Jesus." What does that mean? Everybody turned back. And I was just walking. And as I got to the stage, the head of worship looked at me and said, Sister Tonya, you say you want to kill yourself? I just started crying. By someone I loved and trusted. My mother used to tell me that, see, in our family, we don't have money. Silver and gold we don't have. But we present ourselves pure. And I wrote it down in my diary that my father did not leave a house before he died, but I will be giving myself to you pure. So this person stole it, and he was my favorite uncle. So my husband will preach to me, preach. I said, don't preach to me. Anyway, 2015 again. I stood in front of my mirror and I wanted to dress up to go to work, and I heard Antonia, finish it up. It's not worth it. By that time, I wanted help. I didn't want to die again. I'd been following Dr. Memuna Kadiri online. One day, she wrote about depression, suicidal thoughts, severe depression. I will not be able to go to church. I will just put a song on. I will lift up my eyes to the hills. It will play from morning till night. Sometimes in 6 months, I will go to church. You know, church is big. If you don't see me in first service, you service. Yes. So, some people will not know that you're not in church. So that day, as I heard that voice, I called Dr. Memuna. I said, are you in the office? Can you please send me your office address? She runs a mental home facility, a private psychiatric hospital. So I deleted the number because I was too ashamed for my husband to find out that I was checking myself with a psychiatric home. I didn't want my family to know. I was very, very ashamed. So I deleted her number. I gave her phone to my sister-in-law who was staying with me. I said, Mary, if anybody, where I'm going to, I will not be able to talk to anybody. Please, anything anybody wants in the shop, tell. Look at Zatek. Boss. Anyway, I checked myself into a mental home. My children say I should stop saying psychiatric name. Yes. So I checked myself into a mental home as a Christian girl who's been a Christian all her life. But professional help for counseling. 3 days later, they were trying to reach my husband because nobody knew where I was. The police, they were looking for me. No trace of the last person I called. They almost killed my sister-in-law that there's no way I won't tell her where I'm going to. That way did I tell her I was going to. She just kept saying, I said where I'm going to, I will not be able to talk. So the hospital, they were scared. My husband would sue them. Just told them, I said, see, Sylvester is not going to think of suing you. He's just going to be trying to look for me alive. Just wants to see Tonya alive. Suing him is on his table right now. Anyway, I was strict and I called his closest friend and they gave me another injection. I woke up 24 hours later with my Sylvester in front of me. He was standing in front of me and he was just crying. He said, Tonya, I've told you we'll go through this journey together. I came back from the psychiatric home a lot better. I don't know what they did. They wiped everything out of my head. I can't really remember a lot of things, but I liked her. A more confident girl who can tell you about her past now, who is not ashamed to say that she was a Christian girl when she was molested. And I know that it was difficult to say at that time what happened. I used to ask God questions. I'm not part of the people who don't ask God questions. I will say that my father, I asked him questions. But Dad, why did you allow this to happen? You saw my reason why I wanted to kill myself. Why did you allow this to happen? But now, few years down the line, I can now tell you now that, okay, the abuse happened for a reason. Because the moment I opened my mouth and I began to talk, mostly on social media, it was as if a can of worm just opened. And you know, as Christians, there are some things that are difficult for us to talk about, mostly sexual violence. And the sad truth is very prevalent, even in church. Very prevalent. So we wrap up ourselves, we mask up, and we put the barricade and all that, but that pain is at the back of our mind. The pain is at the back. We've retrogressed it, we moved the pain back. But you see, I sit here to tell you today that the shame does not belong to you. The shame belongs to the abuser. That Jesus loves you despite what has happened. He knew. Like Sister Ifeoma told us this morning, it's not suffering, it's a training. The process of the training is very difficult. And if anybody tells you at that point in time that God is training you, you can kill that person. Because if somebody had told me 5 years ago that God made you go through childhood rape because he was preparing you for something. No, don't tell me that, please. Why will you give me that kind of hard work? Why? Yes, because even I think 12 years after marriage, I couldn't stand naked before my husband. I go to bed fully clad. I mean fully. Fully. Bra, pants, clothes. Yes, ma'am. Because I was just too ashamed of myself. So we have some children here. I wanted to say something. I will not be able to say it. You know that thing you have when you... I've never had it before. So I'm just going through therapy now. That, okay, they say they enjoy. You know, I've never had it. After 3 children, I'm just there. Now, I tell you this story because we have mothers here. Sexual abuse is better prevented. The damage can take a lifetime. It's unquantifiable. The damage is better prevented. I run a support group and I know what I see and what I hear, both from men and from women. Mama, it will amaze you to find out that most of the abusers, some of them were also abused, you know? Yeah. But now we just want to throw them in jail without trying to look for the root cause of the problem. Thank you.
Is it afternoon? Okay, so my name is Shola Ajayi. Excuse me. Okay, so in 2012, so I ended my supposed best relationship, and I found myself on your blog. Yeah. So that was where I got healing from, and you'll be surprised that as a guy, I was in tears after I ended the relationship. I ended it, but I was still the one crying about it. And I was asking God that after almost 2 years of going through this relationship, why did I have to end it? Then, funny enough, when my mates were going for service, they couldn't find my own name because there was some errors on my profile. So when the call-up letter finally came out, in the pre-orientation meeting with the school authorities, I met someone that was familiar with. We've actually been in the same fellowship before, but we're not that close. So I met a guy and started talking, and I was just happy that I could find someone that is going through the same problem with me. So, because it was as if our juniors were going to service with us, and so it was like a shame. So we started talking and everything, and she had the same problem with me too. I've always noticed that she had some issues because she looked frail and not that strong. But I just knew there was something wrong about her health. So we got talking, and she finally opened up and she told me that she's actually sickle cell anemic. I want you to understand, I'm not surprised. You look like it anyway. So we got talking, and one of the things I love about the fact that I think we had the same view about life generally. So wait for service. I was not talking with her. We just once in a while she just send me a message. I just send her a text message back. Then we got back from service. That should be 2014. We returned from service. Then we got talking again. And God, since then, God was saying that this lady is the one you're going to marry. I was like, God, no, I don't want this. But, okay, so I got a job and I was like, God, I've gotten a job. I think I have too much money now to settle down with someone that will be giving me trouble. I want someone I can enjoy my money with. But, so I proposed to a lady, and immediately after asking her out, the following day, I lost my peace, I lost my joy. So I had to call her. I was like, I'm sorry about that. I don't think you are the one. I'm very, very sorry. So I had to go back so I was talking with a friend, and I was like, if God is telling you to do something, or is telling you to marry someone, at least get close to her and find out if that's it. So I got close to her. The more we talk, the more I want this package. But the container for the package is not just, as in she's a description of the kind of woman any man should marry. But the container was not just perfect. I prayed, I was like, God, if you want me to do this, heal her so I'll be able to do this. And God told me that, so if I don't heal her, you're not going to go ahead. I was like, okay, no problem. Maybe God is trying to tell me that if I should do it, then He's going to heal her. So I told my sister, I told my mom, and they're like, are you sure about this? Well, I always want to thank God for my mom. What she told me was like, if she had someone like her, she too should be praying that she should get married too. So no problem. As long as you are sure that God is leading you to this, there's no problem. So I finally asked her out. So my friend was like, Shola, do you know what you're doing? My hand is not there. But I asked her, I was thinking, you know, you are SS, and I'm asking you out, you just say yes. How many guys wants to? And I was like, okay, I'll pray about it. And just like, and as a matter of fact, if you want to tell me this, you can't be telling me this on phone. Come on. I was like, I'm trying to help your condition. And you're telling me to still come down. And she stays in Songo. I was staying around Costin then. So I went to Songo. I told her, I was like, I thought she would just say, yeah. I was like, where's my ring? So I must come and propose with a ring too. I was saying, no problem. So I came back to Lagos, got the ring, got the teddy bear, went back. And, and that was how the journey started. So we were at it, and I think I proposed to her around May. By September, we already planned. So I was at that call. I told him that because of her health, we don't want her to stay too long. And honestly, I just proposed to her. I had no plans of getting married. Like even I was like maybe 2 years. After 2 years, we get married. So when did that ask me? I was like, so I gave him December, like in the last month. So if anything happens in January, I said, it's the end of the year. You know how things are. So maybe next year we'll do it. But to my surprise, by September, I was enjoying the relationship to the extent that I couldn't even wait. And I used to tell people that one of the ways you know that you're in the right relationship is every moment leading from the first time you ask the person out, you must start, there must be peace in your heart about it. And I think I got that. So by September, we got married. And she asked me that, Shola, are you sure you can handle me? I said, to be honest, I don't know. I don't think I can handle you. I don't even know what it means to be sickle cell anemic. I just know that you guys, you always have to go to the hospital for checkup, and sometimes you have series of crises. So we got married, and so on the wedding day, okay, we did introduction. We did not want her to stress herself, so we did introduction on Friday, so on Saturday. So on Friday evening after the engagement, after the engagement, she called me and told me that she's feeling funny. I was like, don't worry, you're fine. And by midnight again, she called me that she's on drip. As in, I almost freaked out. So I had to call my best man. I was like, see, let's go outside and pray. So we got praying. Then she called me that it's getting worse. I was like, you know what? We are going to do this wedding. After I ended the call, I just went to bed. I just went to go and sleep. I just told myself, I'm not going to think about this crisis. Number one, I'm not the one going through the pain. And number two, I'm not the one that gave her the pain. So I slept. Woke up the following day, hoping to hear good news. Only for me to hear that, in short, the number of nurses have even increased. And the number of drips have increased too. So I just went through it. So I got to the venue only for me to realize that I left my belt at home. So I had to call my best man had to like go with me to the market. I had to go and get a belt for the trouser. So we came back and I saw her and she was just shaking. So we went through the whole thing. They had to rush the whole service and everything. Then we got to the reception. Lo and behold, we didn't invite many people. But when we got to the venue, I almost fainted because it was a big hall and there was no seats for people to even sit down in the hall anymore. And I was just, how did people hear about this? But I realized that she was someone that even while she was serving, God had used her to touch so many people. Even some of my own friends, we're already mutual friends. Because when I told her, I know her now, I know her. You know, during our service here, she gave a library to a public school. And I was asking myself that even me that I am AA and I am perfect, I've not been able to do anything. And many people that suffer, that also suffering from the disease too, she had been able to encourage them even in her own pain. So we got to the hall, we did everything, and they were telling us to dance, and the mom was just there giving me like, Shola, stop dancing, don't kill my daughter. But I don't know, there was just this joy in me, and I was just dancing. I was dancing for the two of us. She couldn't dance, so I was like, the whole dance. Got the people were like, Shola, so you could dance like this? I was like, well, I didn't learn from anywhere. I think it's just God. So we were able to go through that phase. Then we got home, and it was as if, I think the joy of the whole moment just took away the pain. And we were just happy, and we gisted into the middle, and I think that's one of the things I miss about her, the gist. We gist a lot. Even while we're still cutting our dad, sometimes we always have to end our conversation because we talk into the night. So I think the following day she told me something that shook me. She was like, I don't know how long I may have, but if I should have a child, I pray that God gives you the grace to be able to find someone like me that loves you as much as I do, and I'll be able to care for her. I was like, Auntie, stop that thing. I'm still trying to enjoy this honeymoon period, and you're bringing up all these things. So, and I remember that one of the things I got to my husband, God, why are you telling me to do this? And he told me that I want to be able to show strength even through this seemingly weak situation. I want to be able to let people know that strength can come even from the weakest moments of our life. So in my heart, I was thinking that maybe God was going to heal her, and we were to tell God that, you see, I was imagining many fates, things like, I was scared of it and I did it. And you know, God healed her. And that was what I was thinking of. So she took in, I think, November. Then by August the following year, she had this crisis. And even before then, you know, there were some times that she would be in crisis. I have to go to the kitchen, boil water. I have to, you know, massage her body and everything. And there was even the time that she woke me up like this. I was pissed because I was like, I don't think I can take this anymore. You know, sometimes you encourage people in pain and you think that your words are enough to drive out that pain, but you know, I tell you that nobody gets used to pain. You can never get used to it. It's only God that gives you the grace to be able to deal with it every moment. So when you woke me up, I just stood up grudgingly. So when I came back, I was feeling bad, so I went to the sitting room. I think the following day was a Sunday, so I just took my Bible. I was preparing for the Sunday school because I was a Sunday school teacher too. So God just told me, go back into the room and just hug your wife. I did that and the crisis just disappeared. And the following I was like, I told her what God told me to do. And he was like, it was that moment. Because she couldn't sleep. Till 2 o'clock, we were still awake. And she slept. So, before the expected time of delivery, she had this major crisis. So, went to the hospital, did a lot of checkup, and they told us that you have to refer us to a federal hospital. So, they did that. And we were hoping for the best, So I just told myself that, and my mother-in-law, that's her mom, that, you know what, let's just pack everything we need. Because we don't know, we'll probably be coming home with a baby. So we did all that. So they told us they were going to induce her, do this and all that. To cut the long story short, she was operated on. She was operated on. They brought the baby out, and after the child came out, I was so happy. But I think there was some kind of complications. I think the pain from the crisis was just too much because it lasted for like throughout that August. So she was moved to the intensive care unit. So we were just going back and forth. And you know, the experience from a federal hospital is another thing that I went through in my life that I don't pray for anyone to go through. You know, after I got married, I got so fat, but I lost everything. And if you've been to federal hospital in Abeokuta, you understand that the topography of Abeokuta is not like Lagos. Lagos is like a flat land. But Ogun State is like this. So when you tell you to go and get a particular drug, you have to climb the hill, descend again, then. So it was just a craze because at the point we were driving around, I realized that even driving sometimes, you know, you get to the junction and you have to wait, so it's even faster to go by, as in with your legs. So, you know, we were just going, get drugs, come back, get drugs, come back, and every other thing. And it was just a crazy period, and I just and you know, I was checking up on her, and so as if things were just getting worse. And we were praying. My mom came, my sister came, our own dad, our own mom, and like we had the kind of prayer corner. All of us were just praying and hoping for the best. And just, you know, go to a point just to, you know what, God, whatever you want to do, just do. So I went to check up on her, and I just realized that they were doing CPR for her. So at that point, I just said, you know what, God, I think I've tried my best. Whatever you want to do now, just do. So he cried so many people, they were all running around. But I just don't know what happened. At that moment, I just had this peace. It was not a peace from, I've given up. It was a peace from, Shola, you cannot do anything. It is only God that can do something. So I just relaxed. I saw my mom and her mom, they were gisting in the car. They didn't know what I've been able to see. So I just kept quiet. So a friend of ours that works in the hospital just climbed one of the staircases and peeped into the room and saw it. Then he realized what I've been able to see. And he just told me like, Shola, you're a strong man. I was like, please don't just tell them anything. Just let them be gisting. So they called us in, told us that her situation has gotten worse. She's using a particular machine to breathe, that she can, everything. No problem. Came back, they called me again, like, we've lost her. Our friend was crying. I was just looking at them. I was like, anyway, I preached to them and I prayed with the doctors and we left. And I'm telling you, this, I was not doing this in denial. It's not maybe I was not seeing, maybe that was why I did that. It was because of what God told me while in the hospital. So we left the hospital and, you know, the doctor was like, is it the husband or? I told them the husband was like, you know what, please, we thought, because to bring a friend and be able to break the news to them. So you know what, let him not break the news to them. Please do it for us. So I went back and I told them. Now at that point, even the mom too was like, she was at peace. So we came back home and I think that was when me and I started crying. Because for the first time I understood that I'll be staying in this house alone. Oh, I must say this, the child survived though. His name is Obed and he's a year plus now. So I came back home and I just don't know. The only thing I was just designing was that everybody should just leave. You know, because they were like choking me in that place. As in, they wanted to be there for me, you know. If we were calling my mom, Emma Jushola Leo, don't leave him alone. No. But in my heart, I was just like, people should just leave this place. So when they finally left, I was able to like release everything that was in me, you know. I banged on the wardrobe, you know, our stuff was still in the room, many things, and I was just like, but I know the most annoying thing is that the following month was my birthday, which was September. So a friend of mine that works in the radio station now called me and told me that, Shola, how are you feeling? I was like, I'm angry. That was what I just told her. I told her I'm angry. No, okay, you know what? Come to the radio station, let's just have fun. Let's talk about maybe kids or animals. So I agreed. The night before then, God just told me that, Shola, I told you that it's through this union that I want to show my strength. And for the first time, it occurred to me that, so I've been trying to, like, you know, she started a blog. I've been working in the back end. Nobody sees me. It has just been, so in my mind, I was thinking that this ministry was for her. She should be doing this, she should be doing that. Let me just support. And I've been doing that. So God told me that, Shola, the real work is about to start now. That radio station, you're not going there to talk about animals and kids. You're going to talk about your experience. So I called the lady and she told me, like, are you sure? Are you ready for this? Yes. So we did it. And after the whole presentation, you know, many people called and I was surprised at the number of that were encouraged by that. So I came back home, I went to the blog, uploaded the audio file, and many people started commenting and everything. Then the following month, a friend of mine, her name is Bolanle Ulokani. She works, she's a presenter in Ebony Life TV. So she called me to listen to the audio file, like, would you like to talk about this? So I went to the studio. I told her about the whole thing. You know, I did not even know they've uploaded it on YouTube. A friend of mine was not the one that sent me the link, and I saw the comment. Then I told myself that, Shola, I can't allow people pity me. I can't allow people pity me. I think this is where God has been trying to push you towards. So I just told myself. So it occurred to me that for every problem I go through in life, I cannot even give the devil the credit, even if it's the one behind it. I can't give the devil the credit because the devil cannot do anything to me except God gives him the permission to do it. And God took me to Job, and I was able to understand that even though it was the devil that was doing the whole thing, but God gave him the room to do it. You know, I'm not the multitasking type. Even though I was a bachelor at a point, but I realized manage my business, manage church work, and friends around, and still manage every need that I need to provide for my son. But I can tell you now that I can't remember the last time I bought food outside. I cook in the home. I manage my work. You know, at a point, I was just taking all the job, and it was. Now I've been able to like break it down and tell me, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And even if anybody's even telling me that, Shola, I want to do this, I can tell you that, see, I can't do this now. And you know, at the point I was saying that if I say I don't want to do this now, I may lose clients. But I realized that throughout the whole thing, God has been able to help me to understand some certain things about my own life too. I've been able to pattern things. I've been able to put things in their place. And most importantly, God has been able to push me into places where I can encourage people and help them to understand that losing someone is a painful thing, but the way you respond to it is what matters a lot. So suffering is a normal thing. Even people that are not Christians are going through it. But what differentiates us from those that are not Christian is the way we respond to it. Thank you very much.
Like I said, it's basically the word. And the reason why it's the word is because Jesus is the word, literally. So if you find the word, it's like God holding you. You know, I've been through things that it has just been God that has held, you know, knowing that God is saying something. If God is silent on a matter, that's when I'm usually afraid. But if I'm hearing him say something to me, then there's hope. It means that I can survive this. I can survive this pain. I can survive whatever it is I'm going through. So consistently hearing God. I had to now learn how to study the word. I had to go after the word for myself, you know. And then I had a journal where I used to write these things down. Because no matter how proficient you think you are, you won't remember. That's the truth. So I still have a book. In fact, the book is torn to tatters. But, you know, I have a book where I wrote every single thing that God had said to me. When God promised me, times when God promised me, I will give you strength. I will hold you steady. I will hold your hand. I will be with you. I kept writing it, and that was the reassurance that this thing will end. This thing will definitely end. It's just a going through. At some point, it will end. So I think that that's it. And then having support, you know, because there's only so much that you can do when you're encouraging yourself in the Lord. Yeah, but there are days where you don't even want to see your Bible. That's the honest truth. There are days where you don't feel like. So you must have people you can trust who hold your hand, people who are there for you. There are days when sometimes it's not even the pain of childbearing or it might just be the pain, sometimes the pain of ministry. I know that's a pain that, because it's not common to everyone, but there's a pain that comes with ministry where you are giving of yourself, and every time it just feels like people are stabbing you in the back consistently. And you know, knowing that there are people who just wake up and then just call you, and then they are just praying in tongues over you. Sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes it's having someone, a father,
you know, a mother in the faith, whatever, someone that you can call, or someone who just calls you and just starts speaking a blessing and telling you, you are going to be all right. You're going to be all right. I know it seems like you want to die now, but you're going to be fine. You know, so having people too really helps, because I don't think anybody can go through pain alone. I don't think we're designed to go through pain alone.
Thank you. Thank you. Want to add something?
Yes, I think in addition to what Pastor Emma said, what happens when you actually go through the word is it helps you to come to reality or come to terms with what you're going through. Because I think also a lot of times when we're going through pain, we're not aware of the magnitude. And because if you're praying and you don't even know, she knows the name of what's happened to her. I know the name of my daughter's condition. He knows the sickle cell. You know what exactly to pray about. But I think sometimes we just blindly just say, God, you are. Because when you just realize someone else somewhere, and that's where she talked about support, is going through exactly the same thing. And sometimes it's not even just in spiritual matters alone. My mom was with me for 8 months. Honestly, those 8 months, I did not touch my daughter. I did not bathe her. I had the time to be able to do research and see that, okay, who is going through this in Nigeria? Nobody. Okay, what has happened? What do I need to do? Where is the hospital? Who is going to provide what? And I was able to pray over the people that are working with me to make the right decisions, because at some point I was like, there's probably this technology. Let me call Ifoma. Ifoma, where are you? Do this research on my baby. I'm weary. I don't even want to do any research again. Maybe this thing doesn't exist. And that's where your support system actually comes in. But I think also through the pain, when you're sure of the reality, she knew it was she was being abused. So she knows the problem is man. So it's not another woman. So if someone is backbiting, it's another person. So the word of God helps you to come to terms and reality, which I think is one big step in dealing with pain. You need to come to terms with what it is that you're going through, what the suffering or the pain is. And that's where the word of God will enlarge. You can literally see that this thing, God is telling me that the comfort with which he has comforted me, I need to comfort other people. Then you start hearing the word of God and you start writing down. I also, my first book is actually my journal through. It was literally my journal. I wrote every day. I cried every day. So if someone will tell you that it will go away, it's not true. I cried every day for over 3 years. I was just crying. I'll just look at my husband like this. I'll look at the baby. I'll start crying. You smile at me anyhow, I'll start crying. Because it means that you're laughing at my baby. So, but I cried, but as I cried, I wrote down. I poured out my heart. I was just writing. The days when I felt God was unfaithful, I wrote it down. And then I could hear God. Now maybe I will read a scripture and I will see that, oh, God is actually faithful. He's going through this journey with me.
Because you realize that your own problem. So I think one of the things is that, and I think for guys, unfortunately guys are not here, most guys do not open up. And that's one big problem. Guys to go through problem a lot. And that's why there are more programs for women. So I pray that God help our men in Jesus' name.
Okay, there's this question. When undergoing a severe and life-threatening emotional pain, one that could get you killed, if revealed to a third party, what and how do you handle such? Tonya, this sounds like something that you should answer. So, when undergoing a severe and life-threatening emotional pain, the kind of pain that can get you killed if you revealed it to a third party, what and how do you handle such?
First of all, if it's a case of abuse, they always say that if you say it, I will kill you. Because can you pause the video? I want to say
back in my academics while in the university, and this really affected me mentally, socially, and psychologically. Please, how do I overcome all of this? Encourage yourself in someone's trouble.
Okay, so I studied banking and finance in the university, but I hate banking offs. And one of the things I hate about banking was that, okay, I think number one is because I'm a shy person, and when you get to banking off, sometimes you're always very, very quiet. And when something drops, everybody just looks at you. So I think since then, I had phobia for banking, and apart from that, I'm not that good with calculation. So one thing I will advise is this, that for every setback, I always tell myself that there's a reason for it. And it's until you ask yourself the reason for that setback, you probably will understand why you have to repeat some certain things. For example, now my brother works with an IT firm, but for him to be able to get to that place, he had to like go back and get what is a general mathematics textbook and go through it all over again. When he was interviewed, he was like a god. It was as if he was even better than the people that interviewed him. And for me as a graphic designer, some of the things I do them as if there's no big deal. But after doing it, people are like, wow, Shola, you're really, really good. So if you're having a setback academically, I think you should ask yourself, why am I going through this thing? Is this even for me? If it is not for you, you're like halfway into it. If God tells you to quit, quit. My brother got in and was giving a particular. I'm referring to my brother because he's crazier than I am. I think you guys in our family were quite crazy because we take very crazy decisions. So my brother got an admission and was already about to move to 200 level. And he went back to go and sit for JAMB because he told my dad right from that he does not want this course. And he said he was struggling and he went back to go and take another one. And he not even look at the fact that some of his mates were already ahead. So I think sometimes you must be able to look beyond what people think of you or what they will assume of you and just say, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for me. So I realized that banking and finance is not my thing. So when all my mates were going for ICANN, CIBN, me, I was just there, going to YouTube. I was watching videos on Photoshop, or Corel, on Adobe Suite. Until now, I have not even gone to any graphic design school. Everything I learned is from YouTube. And when God wants, when the time comes, I probably will be doing my own YouTube videos too, to teach others.
Thank you. Interestingly, Shola, this is the first time I'm meeting Shola. Meanwhile, Shola has done all our designs for SALVE series since we started in April. So he's simply amazing. When people do designs for me, when I don't like it, I work with believers. So when you're doing a design for me, they say, what do you like? I say, I don't know what I like. But I know what I don't like once I see it. So once you send something, I'm like, you're a believer, right? I think you should talk to the Holy Spirit right now. And so that's how we started. And every month he just tells me, Ma, just wait. I'm not yet ready. And when he brings it out, it's always absolutely beautiful. For this person that had this question, I just want to share a quick story. So when I was in secondary school, I came out second best student in my class. But guess what? I couldn't enter university. My entire set, everybody was in university. Those that traveled. Those that were in Nigeria entered university. First year I was at home. Second year, okay, actually, first year admission came, foot Mina. I was still young and I was like, I don't want to go to Mina. It's very dry school. I don't want to go to Mina. So I turned down the admission. It's like as if all the doors closed. And I was at home for like 3 years. And I became a problem. Until one day, one of my friends called me and she said something. She said, Foma, it's not how fast, it's how well. And I relaxed. It was painful because you're like the star in your class. And everybody is in university and they're telling you about university and you cannot get into university. Like, how do you explain it? But finally, when I got into university, it was like a breeze. It's not about how fast you go. It's about how well. What's the lesson in that stage? Have you learned it? Have you moved? At the end of the day, all those my classmates that were before me, when I got a job first. I got a very good job. The company even asked me to go and bring my classmates. And they had finished before me. But I still gave them their names. So God knows how he plans your journey. Now you have a setback in academics. Shola said, encourage yourself other people's problem. In the scheme of things right now, encourage yourself. But remember, it's not how fast, it's how well. I have this question. It said, some painful experiences or occurrences could be hereditary and happens beyond your control. Do you believe in this? If yes, how do you overcome it? Okay. Hereditary, generational.
And they don't marry your family.
Like they don't marry your family. Like this disease, diabetes, your father had it, your grandmother had it, so you learn to have it. I'm thinking hereditary, generational, beyond your control. Like a family curse, like something that goes.
Like,
okay.
Sorry. For you see some families, see a sexual trend. It happens like that and just keeps repeating itself.
Okay.
What trend exactly?
So I'll give you an example.
You used to talk about incest, for example. Yes. Yes. You find out that it has been happening from great-grandfather.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you an example. One of the things that the baby, Abby. One of the Okay, one of the trends that I observed in my family as I gave my life to Christ was everybody in my family married a Muslim. Every girl and every guy married a Muslim. Whether or not, somehow there was just, my father used to be, he comes from a Muslim background, so it was okay, it was, somehow everybody just found their way back. So my late sisters married Muslims. My brothers, their wives used to be Muslims. And so it was just, but even before I gave my life to Christ, I just felt that there was something that was wrong about it. Why should everybody be marrying Muslim? Like, I didn't know Christian guys, but now we are Christians, you know. And finally, when I gave my life to Christ, I saw that it was a trend. It was perpetual, like nothing. It looked like just when you want to get married, though, the one that was dating a Christian before, something will happen, they will go, and all of a sudden you start marrying Muslims. So the first thing that I did was I said a no to it. You know, like when you watch a movie and just say, God forbid it, like King James, I just said, it's not going to happen to me. I don't know how. And then I started praying about it because at some point, all the guys that were important in my life were Muslims. So at a point, I met a guy that had become a Christian, but he had a Muslim name. And when I came home with him, my mom told me, you can't marry him. I said, why? He's Muslim. I said, no, he's not a pastor. My mom said, you cannot. And before now, they didn't have a problem with it because every other person married a Muslim. So I went, I prayed, I said, God, you know what? I honestly don't know, but this trend cannot continue. From my own time, it stops. So I kind of stood in gap on behalf of my family, on behalf of my generation to come. And I literally said, it won't happen again. And the interesting thing is, when you marry the Muslim, especially the ones that married female Muslims, they continue to be Muslims. They don't change their religion. But the ones, when you are a girl and you married the guy, and the guy is a Muslim, they become Muslims. So literally, when I prayed that prayer, I said, it ends from my own time. There was no preaching really, but it was just like there was like a ripping apart, and it just ended. My brother married a Muslim, but she decided to start going to church with him. In fact, at some point he said, you know, I am not very particular, it doesn't matter. I told him, I said, she's now married into a Christian home. You are born again, she will become a Christian. And then she will have an encounter with God, and she goes. So if you ask me, I think still it's you coming first to the knowledge of this is an issue. You have studied the trend and you have seen what it is. And then you go to warfare. Because the warfare is not the war of no. It's on your knees. That's where you break that chain. You break, and that's why you are now Christian and you have an encounter with God. So what's the word of God saying concerning this thing? If it's not at par with the word of God and it's not aligning with what the word of God says, then you are able to, approach the throne of grace and say, hey, concerning this issue, it can be health, it can be, you just literally say it doesn't work. And then you stop walking the path of around it. So I literally just knew if you were a Muslim and you once you're officer, you are falling in line. Just literally, you just fall in line. So it's like saying, for instance, we have people in my family, they have diabetes, and then you continue to eat rice. Then you continue to, so you have to intentionally do something about it. So it's not just in the place of prayer, it's in the place of not working about it. I told my brother recently, I said, you're following the trend of your fathers. I said, you're married second wife. But I told the one after it, I said, you can stop it. You can put an end to it. So we can have all the excuses in the world, but we can put an end to it. Just like there is a generation. Have you not seen people that all of them, the great grandfather was a pastor, the other one was a pastor, this one was a pastor, that all of them are doctors, all of them are writers. Why should your own be different? So you can stop it. That's my own.
You know, personally, I think that the same way, what she was saying is, you know, just when they asked the question, what came to my head was the same way there are generational curses, they're generational blessings. So you can decide what will happen in your family. So some things that people even call generational curses, I think that they are generational decisions. They are patterns that have come out of some things are acceptable. So if the first person married a Muslim, they didn't complain. The next one took a man, and then it just becomes a pattern. So what now happens is that people now think it's a curse. It's just a way, something that has not been dealt with in one child that continues. So for instance, if there's incest in a family, see, because there has been secrecy, it has happened and there's secrecy. Nobody has dealt with it. Nobody has addressed it. Nobody has exposed it. What will happen is that some people will know in that family and it's okay. So the next person that will do it, maybe the son of that man will say, my father did it and it was okay. Nobody died. So if I'm attracted to my sister's daughter, it's okay. You know, so it's the same way, for instance, Don McClurkin, his uncle abused him. Then his uncle's son abused him. Because nobody addressed it. Nobody said, this thing is bad, don't do it again. When he moved into the Winans family, they started beating him. Why are you dressing like a girl? Why are you doing those things? They beat it out of him. If not, they will say, it's okay, it's normal, it's acceptable. So some things, I think, there are things that somebody must just say, enough is enough. This thing cannot happen in this family. Even if it was happening before, it cannot happen again. Same way I've said that nobody in my lineage will look for a child ever again. PCOS has ended here. It cannot happen again. It cannot come. It cannot even escort something else. Fibroid, all those things, it cannot escort. It cannot come here. I've drawn a line of fire. It ends here. So I think it's basically patterns that people now call curses. You know, and a curse only has power in the fact that you believe in it. Yes. Curseless cannot come.
Wow. Amazing. Gracias, gracias. You know, funny enough, I don't know if the person that had this question, because I was also sharing the story. I said how I was growing up, and as a child, I knew that everybody in my family, nobody gets married, both male and female. And at first, I thought it was a joke. I felt they wanted to marry from the same town. So I resolved I will go outside. I will even do Igbo self. Let's not even argue. But I went out, and the drama was even worse. Till I had to be clear on what is the real issue. And then you bore it on your knees. On your knees. And it settled. I tell people I'm the first person in my family. I mean, when my father's siblings, they are 10. My father is the 6th born. He has all girls before him. So you can imagine how many children they had. I was the first graduate from the university. And I was so proud. I was very, very clear. Like, it has broken. If people don't want to go to school, me, my brothers, and everybody after me has decided to go to school. And it's not like as if we're not smart. It's just, they did not get to university, they did not get, so maybe, you know, when the devil comes in, and those 3 years I sat down, I could have said, you know what, I don't want to do. After all, who else has gone to the university? Let me go and do something. So I think it's, first of all, it comes in understanding what that issue is, addressing the issue, and you don't give up. You don't give up. You don't give up. Okay? Next question. How did you share your story on social media? How do you start? So like when you have your story, how do you start? How do you share on social media?
Is it when I put any post? I'm looking pretty today. The same way you put out a post.
But more importantly, my question is why? The motive is more important than how. why do you want to share the story? To what end? What's the purpose? If you have a clear instruction, if you have direction, you know this is why I want to do it. This is who I want to reach. For instance, starting Hannah's Heart for me wasn't because necessarily I wanted to share my story. It was because I really needed people to understand that you can be set free from negativity. The devil is a liar and we're going to frustrate him. So that was it. And so I just started up that group and then just put in a post, one post after the other. One person will repost it, somebody who it has blessed will grant something, just keeps spreading like wildfire. So, you know, I think the most important thing is why. Because sometimes people just want to be popular. Sometimes this same social media that you think is an open door is also a trap. It backfires. Because once something gets on social media, it never dies. So you have to be very careful of why you are doing it, what you are putting out there, and when you are putting it.
It's like this person came late too. What should be our reactions and our response to suffering and trial? We had covered this in the... Yes, we recorded it, so the video is going to be on YouTube. Last question. Is it a sin to ask God why you are going through suffering? Strength, strength like no other. It just kept playing, and I was singing it, and I was scared, and I was like, God, what are you about to bring? Like this thing asking me to get strength. But I felt I was traveling a lot that period. So I was working, I was doing Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya. So I had a lot of trips. So I felt it was the trip. So when I finished the trip, I'm like, oh man, God, you tried for me. Like I came back, I said the work never even starts. And I got to work the next day, and they called a meeting in the office. This is somewhere I'd worked for over 12 years. And they said they needed to let go of certain people. And I started crying because I was feeling for those they will let go. As in me, I am Noah and the family of Noah. It will not come near me. And I was crying, like genuinely crying for those that... And they finished, and they said 30 people. So about 100, 30 people were going to be let go. So I went back to my seat, and I felt so sad for people. And something asked me, and you were going to go, and everybody was going to do one-on-one with their manager. And the Spirit of God said, if your name is on that list, I said, God forbid, my name cannot be on the list. He said, calm down. If your name is on this list, what will you do? And for a moment, I thought about it. I said, okay, they said it was going to be effective March 1st. If my name is on the list, then it is for good. Because March 1st is my marriage anniversary. March 1st is very significant for me. I got promoted March 1st. I got a brand new car March 1st. I got married March 1st after all the battle. So March 1st is significant for me. So I said, if it's March 1st, then it's for good. I said, I didn't say anything again. So next thing, they called me to the meeting room and they started talking. It felt like as if I was in a daze. And they told me how sorry, they need to let me go. I was just looking at them. And my senior HR manager was crying. The person that's like my boss, because my boss was in Geneva. My Nigerian person was here. She was shaking. My boss was in telecast. He wasn't saying anything. And then they finished, and they said, do you have anything to say? I said, no. And I said, if it's March 1st, it's for good. And my HR manager just started crying. And I said, Shade, why are you crying? If you start crying, I'll cry. So I left, and I called my husband. Crystal laughed. She said, I should buy me ice cream. And she bought me the ice cream. I finished licking the ice cream. So I went back to the office. It's so weird. Like I went back to the office. I was among the first people they told. And when people heard my name was on it, people were scared. Like if woman's name can be on it, who is safe? And so when I came back to the office, they had told some people, those that fainted, those that like it was bad. And when I came back, God said I should start a group, and I should call the group the Blessed 30. And I should start it on WhatsApp, and we should pray every day for 7 days. And I'm like, which kind of work is this one? I've not finished nursing my pain off. Like you wake up and you don't have a job. And I went back home that night. And of course, you know, I'm strong. I've seen God in different phases of my life. So I just felt, this is the same me that stayed a year without a job, but I did not die. When I came back, I said, God, I just have one question. Why did my name enter? I don't have a problem that you said I should not have a job now. But out of the 100 people, why did they choose me? Are you trying to say Are they trying to say I'm not good enough? Because you're the same person that told me that you had gone with me, blah, blah, blah. And you know what God said? He said, Ifeoma, that's not what they said. Because the HR manager, they said, what Shade said is that they were trying to make a smaller team who had, based on the future needs of the company. And said, Ifeoma, if your name was not in that list, it's because you don't have a future anymore in Procter & Gamble. And it helped me. Because you know the devil just keeps coming and saying, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. So after this your paparazzi, 10 years, 16 years, then they were doing this and you were not good enough. And it was clear to me, it was not because I wasn't good enough. It was because my future was no longer there. If I never asked, I never would have known. So it's not a sin to ask. It's not a sin to ask. Wow, we've come to the end of another SALVE series panelist session. I know. Thank you, Pastor M. Thank you, Tonya. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Shola.